Welcome to Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, PhD. Get ready to get inspired by the stories of overcoming life's challenges to bring change and transformation. Here's Dr. Diane.
Hi, I'm Dr. Diane Clark, and I'm here again with another segment of Unplugged Live. My co-host is still on assignment, but will be back very soon, I am told. Thank you for joining us on tonight. Listen, please leave your comments on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, share us, and subscribe to our channel. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. I have a page, Unplugged Live, so that you can connect with us and enjoy the information that we bring. Thank you for your comments that you've made. Thank you for the contacts that you made. Keep it coming. I want to hear from you because I want to know where you need to be unplugged. Today, we have a very exciting guest on our show. She is a psychologist, I believe, and I want to let her introduce herself to you because she can do it much better than me. So what I want you to do is welcome my guest, Clarissa Baggs.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you for having me.
I'm so thrilled that you accepted. I rehearsed your introduction, and when I got ready to do it, I forgot. So I'm going to let you, I told them you were a psychologist, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself properly so that they can have the correct information.
Wonderful. I am Clarissa Baggs. I am a filmmaker. I am an inspirational speaker. I am a certified life coach. I am not a psychologist.
Okay, sorry.
Although everything I do links back to mental health. All of the work that I do, all the people I come in contact with, all of the lessons that I teach, all go all the way back to mental health. So not a psychologist, but I kind of dibble and dabble in that realm.
Thank you for clearing that up so that they will know you're a professional at what you do. She's
Yes.
a life coach and she dabbles, she says, in the mental health space. And Miss Baggs, I invited you to be on the show today because this is the last show for Women's History Month. And I wanted to do something that I felt would encourage those of us who are creating legacy. We are creating the history that other young people will live by, will pattern their lives by, especially if we are a good example in our community. And today I would like for us to talk about letting go with forgiveness.
Yes. Much of the work that I do focuses on helping people find their voice so that they can find a space of forgiveness. And a lot of it that I do is because of my own personal background. I am the eldest of 12 kids, and I grew up in a very abusive household. And that includes mental, physical, emotional abuse and sexual abuse. At the age of 23 days into my 12th birthday, I gave birth to my stepfather's child. And no one ever asked who got an 11-year-old child pregnant. But all of the onus and all of the guilt was always placed at my feet. And I did not have a voice. I did not have a way to always communicate what was going on in my life and how it affected me. I had to learn to find my voice. And in order to do that, I started a workshop called Still Surviving and Walking in Your Purpose. And from there, I created an award-winning talk show. And on this talk show, guests would come on to discuss the different adversities that they have experienced in life and they talk about all the ugliness that they've gone through, but they also talk about how they have discovered their purpose within all of that ugliness, and how now they're using that purpose to impact other people's lives and find their voices and be able to walk in forgiveness. And for me, it was cathartic because I was not at that place yet. I could not speak my truth. I didn't know how to, but I felt like if I could give other people the ability to do those things, then it would help me. And learning to forgive is well, we're always told that we should forgive, but having the ability to actually forgive someone, that's a completely different ball game. And it's difficult. It's not an easy, okay, well, I forgive you and let's move on, because we live through everything repeatedly that we've gone through in life. It forms the lens through which we look at life. And when it came time for me to decide whether or not I was going to forgive my rapist, that really didn't happen until after he passed away. And I was able to forgive him, but if I'm transparent about everything, I still haven't gotten to the point of being able to forgive my mother yet. And I think that stems from the idea that she's my mom and she is supposed to protect me. Mothers are supposed to protect their kids. So I'm still working on that aspect of it. But I know that with forgiving and with releasing, it will free me up to do the absolute phenomenal work that God has me doing now. I'm doing a lot of that work now, but I still haven't addressed that aspect of my life. So, yeah, I can sit here and I can say, you should go out and you should forgive and you should be able to do all of these wonderful things, but it's a process. It's a process for me. And I'm the one tooting the horn all the time about people going out and forgiving people who have hurt you. I am hopeful that the work that I do is teaching people about forgiveness, giving them the steps in order to forgive, and also teaching them how to release themselves from whatever strongholds are keeping them from living their best life, keeping them from discovering their purpose in life, and keeping them from expanding that purpose and being a blessing to other people. One of the things that I'm always focused on is teaching people how to speak their truths. As a child, I was suicidal and I had a whole lot of suicidal ideation. And the main reason for that is because I thought it was just me that was going through what I was going through. Nobody in the world could understand what I was going through as a child. And the reason for that is because normally when people come out on the other side of whatever trauma, whatever darkness that they've been through, we typically don't share our stories. We keep it to ourselves. We don't go out and say, hey, so guess what? I am a victim of abuse. I had this kind of trauma. I was going through these sort of domestic issues. We keep it to ourselves. We hoard that information, not realizing that if we open our mouths and we speak our truths, then we could potentially save some lives. Right now, I am working on a documentary that will focus on child suicide. And we're going to look at the cause and effects of it and how society is impacted by child suicide. We're going to look at it from the religious standpoint, from the justice system, from family issues. Those are the things that we need to have conversations about in order to learn how to forgive ourselves, learn how to forgive others, and learn how to live our best lives. And we can't do that unless we have conversations.
That's so important. I believe that initiating the conversation is the first step to healing. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I can see how your testimony will help so many women who have been victims of rape in the home, and it produced a child and the impact it had on that child. And I heard you say that you had forgiven the rapist who has passed on, but you're struggling with the mother. What could she have done different, you feel, that would have helped your situation end up a different way?
I feel like when she found out that these things were going on in the household,
Mm-hmm.
that had she reacted in a way to prevent it from happening further, it would have been, it would have made a significant difference in my life. But instead, it happened before, of course, before I was pregnant. It started in the third grade. The grooming process started in third grade. I was in sixth grade when I gave birth. And she knew that this had happened, and she knew who the father was. And she continued to have him there. His only his only punishment was that he had to have a vasectomy.
That was his
So,
punishment for what he had done to you?
yep,
Well,
he
that
had
just freed him to do that more without
exactly.
producing children.
Exactly. And even today, I mean, he's gone. She married twice since him. But even today, she still worshiped the ground he walked on. She still would argue with you and want to fight you if you want to talk about him. So, and I remember one time asking her, we were arguing about something. It has to do with her husband after him. And I asked her, why are you always choosing men over your children? And she said, because he can do for me what you can't do. That was her that was her reasoning, and she said it flat out to my face. And so that's where my struggle comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to even acknowledge it. And I'm also coming to the realization that I may never get an apology. I may never get an explanation. So I am working on accepting that.
I understand. And often when we are traumatized and things happen to us, we don't always heal the way we'd like to, because that trauma writes itself in our DNA.
Yes.
And once it's in your DNA, it creates a filter that you view your whole life through that filter of pain and disappointment and hurt. But I understand in a lot of cases like yours, the mother chooses the husband over the child. And a lot of times, Clarissa, that's indicative of the mother having experienced trauma or something that was going on in her life before you ever came along,
Mm-hmm.
that had her in a disposition that she really needed him and she really loved him. And, she felt like because she was your mother, that you would just love her anyway and everything would be all right, are some of the explanations I have received when speaking to women who have been in this situation. How does she relate to her grandchild?
Um, they really don't really have a relationship. They rarely see one another. My daughter is now 45 years old.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm barely 12 years older than my child. But my mom says that she tells people that I'm a liar and that the things that I am saying are untrue. But I've got an entire DNA sample
I was
specimen here.
gonna ask, did they do a DNA to detect whether the child was his? Did you get to that state?
No, I mean this was in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
So
Wasn't as popular then. Yeah.
that wasn't a thing, and it could only be him. I mean, I I was in third grade when this started happening, and it even continued even afterwards. I remember
After
her.
you had the baby?
Yes,
But you were old enough at that point to fight back. What happened that you didn't fight back?
one of the things is fear. Another thing is, well, if you don't, then I'll just go and get one of your sisters. Because I'm the eldest, and I had all these sisters and brothers underneath me, and that was a threat. And the thing is that he could say whatever he wanted to say. He could tell my mom whatever, and he never doled out. Let's say when we got beatings, he never doled it out. He could say whatever he wanted to say. My mom was the one that was doing a lot of the other horrific stuff. Aside from that, we still had the mental and the physical and emotional abuse going on. So
Wow.
it's not as easy as just saying no. When you grow up in a certain environment, it's easy for somebody who hasn't been there to say, well, you just say something, but it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It really doesn't work like that. I mean, imagine growing up in an environment where every day you're looking in the face of your rapist. Every day
Yeah.
you're feeding this person. Every day you're you're brushing this person's dentures. Every day you're putting lotion on this person's legs. You come home from school and he's standing on the back porch waiting. You're negotiating. You learn to negotiate to get out of it,
Uh-huh.
or you learn to negotiate your body just to save your siblings. So all of those things, it's a whole, trust me, you don't have enough time on your show today. But there's a whole lot of dynamics that go into it that will just blow your mind.
Well, I thank you for being so transparent and sharing, because I'm sure that there's someone that will watch this show who have experienced it or who has been the mother in the situation. And it's sad, when you told your mother, you were faced with anger, right?
Yes.
and and
Well,
accusation.
let me tell you what happened. I think that he kind of got a clue that I might be pregnant. And now at this time, I had never even had my period yet. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. I looked like a little boy. And she took me to a clinic. And at this time, there was this clinic, and it was in a house. And back in the 70s, there was no such thing as patient privacy. And that's where she found out at the clinic, because even the doctors were crazy. But before that happened, he pulled me aside and he had a Bible. And he made me place my hand on this Bible, that if anybody, and he said, well, what'll happen if you put your hand on the Bible and you swear something, you don't do it, what's going to happen. I said, I'm like, yeah, sir, you go to hell.
Oh,
We
wow.
were taught, right? So he had me put my hand on this Bible and swear that if anyone asked, had someone touched me, that I would say his brother, one of his brothers.
Really?
Really? So,
Is that what you did?
yep, at the clinic, they said, "Well, who did?" She's all like she's angry and such. So who did it? Because the nurse came out into the waiting room. Everybody's in the waiting room and says, "Hey, so your daughter's pregnant." So she put on this big old show, and I said, "Uncle so and so."
Oh,
And then she said, "Well, she's telling the nurse, well, he's a big old guy and he must have done something. What did he do?" And the only thing I could think of, because this guy never even looked at us sideways. Okay. And this is the truth. Never. And I said, and the only thing I could think of was, he said he would punch me. That's the worst thing I could think of that I could say that he would have done. And she went through this whole rigmarole that she's gonna kill him, and she got her shotgun, and she put me in the car, and we drove up, and we had gone back to the house, and she's telling him, "I'm gonna kill your brother." And he allowed us to get in a car, just she and I, and we drove to the little country town that he lives in, and she's hunting for him, and she's gonna do this. And there's a whole story behind all of that. But in the end, because I'm scared, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna kill him, she's gonna kill him, she's gonna kill him. I can't let her kill him. But if I tell the truth, I'm going to hell.
oh,
What
Clarissa.
am I supposed to do? I'm 11 years old. I'm gonna go to
That's
hell.
very damaging. Yeah.
I'm gonna go to hell." So finally, I told her, I said, "Well, Mama, it wasn't so and so. I mean, it wasn't him. It was so and so." So she packs me back up in the car. That's a whole different. It's a whole thing going on where we were. That's another story. She packs me up in the car. We go back to the house, to the man who actually raped me. Does nothing.
She didn't confront him?
Nope. If she did, I didn't hear about it. And it took him to tell me, because I knew he had a vasectomy. And I used to have to bring ice pack to him.
Oh my. So
And
Clarissa, with all of the traumatic events in your life, what has been your recourse? Where are you now with that? I see that you're able to talk about your story and what happened, but what did that trauma produce in your life that was positive? You made it through it. You came through it and not quite out of it because you're dealing with the mother issue, but you know, the first step to peace is acceptance.
mhm,
And at some point you're going to have to bring yourself to the place that you accept who she is, and that was the best that she could do, even though you don't feel like it's the best, and I'm sure there are other people watching the show. But when things like that happen, that's very serious and it's very painful, and it affected the whole family, not just you and the stepfather. And when you get to that place of peace and you accept your mom for who she is, where she was at that time, you don't know what fear was in her. He could have been the major breadwinner in the family, all kinds of things. There are different dynamics in your story. But I want to hear how you came out of it and what it produced positive in your life.
okay, so let me say this first. It wasn't just about me, and it wasn't just about me forgiving her for what she's done other stuff to other siblings with other people. So it's not just a me just forgiving her for me. My siblings have stories.
Oh,
So it's bigger than you can imagine.
mhm.
But one of the things that I remember being a kid, and I was watching the Bible story. This was in black and white. And
You mean you didn't have one of those plastic screens that was blue for the sky and green for the glass? Like
this
you
was
brought
black and
that
white.
to the television, yeah. You had
Girl,
color TV.
this
Wait,
was
go ahead. I thought that was funny.
this was a little 13-inch black and white television, and it had the tubes in it.
Right.
And I remember after a while, the tubes would start to go bad. So it would start turning white. So in order to see it, you had to block out light. And I was watching him put like a towel or something over it so you could see. Gosh, I feel old. And I'm watching the Bible story. And even though you know about Jesus and him dying on the cross and this and being risen and all of that stuff, I really didn't truly understand. Mm-hmm. And I was watching it, and Jesus looked up to heaven and asked God, why had he forsaken him? And in a child's mind, I thought, okay, now I get it. If he doesn't care about his own son, he certainly doesn't care about me. This is why these things are happening. So in my mind, I figured it out. He don't care nothing about me.
Oh my.
That was, I became, I had suicidal ideation. I trying to figure out how I was going to kill myself. And then one day I had a dream and this person came to me in this dream and said, come here, I want to show you something. So I got up to go and follow her, and she took me into this room, and the room was pitch black. Like you could not see your hand in front of your face. And in this room, to the left side of the wall, were 3 huge museum-like frames. And they had the light bars over the top. Mm-hmm. And so I'm walking with her, and the first one we see, and I'm closest to the paintings. The first painting I see is what we envision Satan to look like. Mm-hmm. So he's sitting there, he's got a red suit, red eyes, horns, the whole 9 yards, what our vision of him is. So I scurry past that. And the next one is a picture of what we envision Jesus to look like. Sitting there with his hands up, with the halo, the ring around his head, and all of that great stuff. So logic tells me, even as a child, that the next picture has to be God, right? Okay. So I'm trying to get to this painting, and she sticks her hand out and she stops me. And she says, no, he's not ready for you yet. He has things that he wants you to do before you can see him. Okay. And I woke up, and I never tried to commit suicide again. Still didn't know what this thing was, but obviously he wasn't ready for me yet. And fast forward, I'm still thinking about how am I going to, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I still trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do? And I started writing about the game that we played when I was little. He called it Tickle. And I started writing about it. I was like, I'm not going to publish this. I'm not going to do anything with it. What am I supposed to do? And let me tell you, Diane, when I have conversations with God, a lot of my conversations with him are look at here conversations. You sure you want me to do this kind of stuff? Look at here conversations. Okay. So, listen, can you pray for me? I'm like, no, girl, because we have a different kind of relationship. And one night I was laying in my bed, and I was going back and forth. I don't want to tell this. I don't want to tell my story. Why do you want me to do this? And I'm trying to negotiate with him. Okay. So I said, okay, God, so look at him. This is what we're going to do. If you want me to tell this story, even though I don't want to, and I kept throwing that out there because I don't want to, and I don't want to tell it, and that's really not what you wanted me to do. So I'm going back and forth. I said, I'll tell you what, show me a sign. Diane, no sooner than I said that, my entire bedroom door lit up. There was this circle of light, and the further you get into the light, the brighter the light was somehow. Mm-hmm. And it was just there. And I said, okay, in a conversation. So now I just got to figure out how to do this. And I told God that if I do this, I want to be like Jesus, in that I don't have to be around people or touch them in order to heal them. And I think that is what I do. I started this talk show. not knowing what I was doing. I promise. All I knew was Google told me. Honey, I had no clue. But let me tell you something. When I put it out there that I was hosting this, I was not hosting, I created this show and I was looking for people to come on and tell their stories of survival. They came out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
99% of the people that came to talk on the show, I had never met them before, met them for the first time when they showed up. And for many of them, they had never told their stories until then. So many of their families didn't know what they had gone through. And for me, that work is cathartic. My helping other people tell their stories is really healing me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
So
healing.
we have like about 3 minutes. And I want you to tell the audience there's somebody else that needs to talk to you, that wants to get over what has happened to them in the past. And I'd like for you to share where they can reach you and the name of your business and so forth, your website.
My website is clarissabags.com, and I'll type it in here. And they can reach me at that website, but I'll also put my phone number in here. I am also hosting a Still Surviving the Release retreat this coming June 23rd to 25th. And we have a few slots left. But there, we're going to focus on healing. We're going to focus on releasing a lot of the strongholds that have attached themselves to us. I am open to conversations. I am open to other speaking engagements. And just reach out. I'll talk to anybody. I would not have done that 5 years ago.
Well, we thank God for where you are now. Would you voice your number for us, please, and your website?
Yes.
Clarissa Bags.
It is. My phone number is 904-305-4124. And my website is clarissabags.com, and that's spelled CLARISABAGGS.com.
Thank you so much. I'm sure you're going to have some context from this broadcast. And I am grateful to God for the work that He has done in you, given the things you experienced in your childhood. And secondhand hate is the worst kind. You had your own hatred, and then you took on the hatred of your siblings. That's quite a load for a human to carry. But I'm grateful for God that you have found a way to bring healing and resolve in your life so that you can do the things that He wants you to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because He said He wasn't ready for you. So there's much more for you to do. I want to pray with you in this last minute that we have. Father, we thank you for Clarissa Bags and the work that she is doing to help your people unravel the trauma, the pain, the memories that went along with childhood abuse, those who experience adverse childhood traumas that has affected their adult life. Father, and we pray, God, that you anoint her to do this work, give her creative ideas and witty inventions to help your people overcome traumatic issues in their lives. In Jesus' name. Thank you, Ms. Bags, for being on the show. It's been very informative, and thank you for your transparentness in expressing. I believe it's going to bless a lot of people.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us. I believe you have heard something in this broadcast that will bless you or a family member or even a friend, that they will know who they can call to talk about their story or encourage them to get counseling so that they can come to a place of wholeness and become a person who leaves a legacy of hope to people who do not have hope. Listen, in May 13th, that's May 13th, Coming up is our celebration of women. We want you to get your tickets. They're going fast because everybody knows the celebration of women is an excellent event. Every person gets a gift, and there's always a celebration for particular focus. And this year we're focusing on senior citizens, and the name of the event is Senior Fabulous Review. We're going to celebrate and award 10 women who are seniors still working in the community. And we want them to feel like they're really valued and appreciated and not like they're just unsung heroes. So join us May 13th at One Mom, Three Sisters, Dunn Avenue and Lim Turner. Once again, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share and leave your comments. God bless you, and we'll see you next month. In April, we're going to be dealing with finance. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, PhD, helping to bring change and transformation in the mental health space within the church community. Dr. Diane wants to hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, guest recommendations, or program topic ideas, visit DianeUnplugged.com and click the Contact Us link. Dr. Diane also appreciates your prayers and your financial support. You can give online at DianeUnplugged.com and select Donate. If your business or ministry organization is interested in sponsoring this program, you can go to DianeUnplugged.com and click the Contact Us link. Unplugged Live is on all the social media platforms. Just search Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, follow, and subscribe. Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, PhD. Healthy mind, wealthy life.